The Challenge All-Stars is back with All-Stars 3, and we're going to talk about that today. They gave us 2 episodes with the premiere here on Paramount Plus, and I'm wondering why they actually did that. I have a theory that it's because the first episode was underwhelming, so they decided to put 2 episodes together. I think that of the 3 All-Star seasons, this was the most underwhelming premiere. Even if the cast is an interesting cast, I still felt like the first episode was not my favorite. I'll start with the first episode, of course, and some of the people in this episode and some of the maybe storylines or duos that were kind of set up. Veronica and Tina getting a lot of airtime in both of the episodes as a duo. They go way back, and they allegedly have each other's back, although in this first episode, Veronica did not go out on any limb to try and save Tina from going into the elimination. We have Mark Long back. He's the one that really pushed for this show in the first place, and now it's probably the challenge worth watching in this franchise. And another thing I want to say watching these first 2 episodes is that I've been very high on the Challenge All-Stars, and I still think I'm going to be this season, but I can see how with the Challenge CBS coming and then the Challenge 38 on MTV later in the year, there's 3 Challenge franchises now, and even more if you count the ones they're now doing in Australia and Argentina, and then they have like the combined one. The Challenge franchise is going to burn out pretty quickly here soon, I think, because it's a lot. It's a little too much, the Challenge. We had Cynthia, who is the first woman to win on the Challenge, or one of them. And we have Wes back on the Challenge here for the first time in a couple years. He arrived with Melinda and Nehemiah because they are all from the same Real World season. We have Kayla, who I really don't think should be on this cast because she's a little too young for this cast. And I don't really think it's fair. I mean, like, she's 29, and most of the cast is at least a decade older. Some, like Cynthia, 2 decades older. I just don't really think that is very fair to have Kayla in this cast. And if Kayla doesn't make the final being this young compared to everybody else, then I don't think she should ever be cast again, because then she would just suck. But she had a good edit in the second episode. We have all 3 returning the Challenge All-Stars champs here. Yes is back. He wasn't on last season. And, of course, Johnny and MJ back, who won Season 2. And then Jordan and Naya. These 2 have had some problematic moments over the years. Naya was banned from the show for a while. I believe she was like getting a little too physical with Jordan in one of the seasons of the Challenge, and that's why she was kicked out and banned for a while. Jordan's came up as from the fandom of not wanting him on the show because of his racial history going way back to Real World Portland, which Jordan and Naya were on together, although they're both friendly now, I guess, as that we saw in these episodes. So the first challenge was another thing that I felt was unfair because Cyrus really is colorblind, and this is kind of an unfair challenge for him in the very first challenge especially. Of course, Cyrus is going to not be able to do the puzzle that has a bunch of color coordinations when he's colorblind. So yeah, of course he was last in that challenge. In that first challenge, Wes got first, and then Yes second, MJ third. For the women, it was Sylvia got first, and then Kellyanne, and then Veronica rounded out the top 3. We'll get to that in a second. I did like that Sylvia won despite having the stress shits, and she did look stressed out, but apparently Sylvia's very good under stress, and I think her edit, like usual, is like an underdog edit for Sylvia. That's what she's getting, and I think she has a good edit so far. Now, we say top 3 for the men and the women because they make up the authority. They will be choosing who goes into the eliminations against the people that get last place in the daily challenge. In this first episode, they decided to handle it a little boring, even though MJ and Wes kind of wanted to stir the pot and maybe target Jordan because Jordan is good at challenges. And it would have been like a big early move, I guess. But they go the boring route and just put in the two people that were second to last in the challenges, which were Tyler and Tina. This is what I talked about earlier, how Veronica did not even try to step out on a limb for Tina. I mean, if this is supposed to be your biggest ally in the game, then I think that maybe you should at least try to save her. So that made the first elimination Cyrus versus Tyler and Cynthia versus Tina. They did the crawl brawl. I mean, a funny name. It wasn't that great of a elimination challenge. They basically had to crawl their way through the sand and bring sandbags to the other side and then carry the sandbags over to the bell. Tina defeated Cynthia, and then Cyrus defeated Tyler. Tyler did not get the redemption he was looking for after getting beat the fuck up from Latarian last season in their elimination together. He falls short here again. So, last season, Tina quit, and then this season, she's a bit of a mess. I like Tina, I really do, and she is good television, but I don't know if she's really doing the best on this show lately. Last season quitting, and then this season, in the second episode, her in the daily, somehow turning herself almost upside down on in the daily it was hilarious. But yeah, it was kind of rough. She is struggling to get by in some of these challenges, and we see that she just doesn't have the same spirit she used to have. I mean, she has the same spirit, but she's way nicer, I think, is the big issue, which kind of maybe hurts her challenge ability. I don't know. Maybe she used to use her anger as drive in the challenges. But she's still hilarious, and she's still good TV, and her getting stuck was fucking funny. She got herself DQ'd. Now, another thing I need to talk about is the fact that if you get first place in the dailies, you get to sabotage somebody in the next daily. So Wes got to sabotage someone, and Sylvia got to sabotage someone. They sabotaged, of course, Wes sabotaged Jordan. He took a shot there. And then Sylvia sabotaged Kellyanne, and Kellyanne threw a fit during her part of the challenge. She was throwing a hissy fit during the puzzle. And then Jordan getting sabotaged gave him motivation. He almost came in first place. For the men in the second episode, it was Yes, Jordan, and Brad. And for the women, it was Kendall, Janae, and Kayla, rounding out the top three there. Now, this vote was a head scratcher because we're getting the story how Wes is a big target, obviously, and people are either intimidated by Wes or they don't want Wes in the game for long, but they're not taking the shot here that they probably should have taken, because and I don't understand why. Because everybody in this vote is we'll save one of the people that we want to save. Okay, I guess that's fine. But if Brad is one of the only people really trying to save Wes, and I'm sure Kayla tried as well, but still they're outnumbered 4-2 in that vote. So if Yes and Jordan really would have pushed harder for Wes, I don't understand how they wouldn't have been able to accomplish their goal of getting Wes thrown into the elimination. So I think this was a major fail by Yes and Jordan in the authority and their deliberation. Instead, they vote in Mark. And then the women, Tina has this confrontation with Janae, kind of threatening her to not put in one of her friends. Her friends, of course, being Veronica and Melinda. And Janae, of course, she's coming into this as the person that just won the Challenge All-Stars 2. So, of course, Janae is going to kind of, it's going to motivate Janae to put in one of Tina's friends, because why not? This is how you mess with people in this game. So that's what Janae ends up doing. And Melinda is thrown into the elimination against Tina. However, Melinda's had this nagging ankle injury and cannot compete. Therefore, Tina gets the automatic win in the elimination. And then we have a rematch from season 1, Latarian versus Mark Long. Mark gets the best of LT again. Sadly, I mean, Latarian's been my favorite player in every All-Star season so far. So I really hate seeing him go early because he brings entertainment all the time. So I did not like that. They're giving Mark Long the story that his mother is battling cancer right now, and that is his motivation this season on the challenge. So it was pretty much a foregone conclusion that Mark was going to win this elimination. As for LT, I do hope he keeps coming back. I will say this: the moment that Laterian is not on a cast in All Stars is the moment you will know that the quality of All Stars is starting to go down to match the quality of the rest of these the challenge shows, which is becoming very low quality. Overall, though, as much as I found the first episode kind of weak and not that entertaining, the second episode was better edited, and we're getting more story threads. They're kind of really setting up maybe Tina and Veronica versus Janae, but Veronica's playing a bit of a sketchy game here. I would say Veronica's kind of like Janae in a sense of like trying to play the middle, kind of like I felt Janae was doing last season, and that's what she was doing, and that's what she did well. Over on the guy's side, it's kind of a lot of Wes, which I don't know how I feel about it. I don't like the over-edit of Wes so far. Even though I like Wes, a lot of the challenge returnees on the guy's side I get sick of. Wes really isn't one of them. But they're definitely setting up a Yes and Wes rivalry for sure. We're seeing how Wes saying that Yes is not this goody two-shoes and innocent like he tries to act. You know, he tries to stay neutral, but he's really not. And we see in the second episode that he's not neutral and he is trying to take a shot at Wes. And of course, Yes sees Wes as somebody who tries to cheat to get ahead and lie and whatever. I guess Eddie Guerrero. Wes is lying, cheating, and stealing his way to the top. But overall, I think we're in store for another solid All-Stars season from the challenge.